package in the mail.
Ann and I just got this package.
That's my name, Matthew Stillman, right there. So
Made $4,500.
Hey, lady.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Hey, stop. That's my jam. Is that the Wednesday mood? Look, if you book.
Okay, I'm testing my mic. Do you hear me, Jessica? Okay. Because a minute ago, I couldn't get it to work. All right. Okay, I'm testing my mic. Do you hear me, Jessica? Okay. Because a minute ago, I couldn't get it to work. All right. Is that a test of the recording system?
Hey, hey, we ready? Perhaps we're ready.
A little bit.
We knucking and we bucking today. We talking about mental health for minorities. Hey, hey.
It's a mood.
We ready to fight for this mental health?
You got to, right? Do what you got to do.
Woo. Can y'all hear me? I know y'all can see me.
Yeah.
Both.
Make sure I can hear y'all.
Close
Let's
some of these
see.
windows.
Yep. All right. Test, test, test. Angelina, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. Welcome to the party. Thank you, ma'am, for being here.
Well, thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, thanks
And
for
I
having us.
absolutely love your hair. So
Isn't it gorgeous?
it is
I've
so
been
gorgeous.
fawning over her hair ever since she cut it. What was it, a week ago, Angelina?
Yeah, just about a week ago, July 4th.
I'm
Oh,
loving
wow.
it so much.
Yeah, I couldn't get an appointment to get it colored. I couldn't get an appointment to get it styled. And I said, you know what? Where are
I'm
your
just gonna cut
clippers?
it.
He said, where are your clippers? He said, are you serious? I said, 9 inches on the floor right now. And that's what he did.
Well, he hooked up that cut.
I know his name is Justin. I love him. I love him.
Go
I
see
love him.
Justin.
Jess, how are you, ma'am?
I am great. Great, thanks.
Thank you for being here. Thank y'all for saying yes.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for the invite.
We
I posted on my
are-
Facebook. I was like, I don't know why people keep letting me speak in public, but as long as they keep inviting me, I'm gonna do it.
Listen, you got a lot to say, so you should be speaking a lot in public, for sure.
That's
All right, let's see. We got folks joining the party. What's up, Lauren Lyons, NapBar founding member? What's going on, fam? Hey, well, we got different hair today. Let me see this hair.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. So, guys, we will kick off. We normally kick off at around 12:05. I got the beats playing in the background. We knucking if we bucking this morning, Lauren.
Oh.
we doing a little throwback. Let me get the beginning so we can get the real effect of. We already had a jam session. And what's going on? What's up? Welcome to our Facebook Live family. We are streaming live with you today. Welcome, welcome, welcome to hashtag Wellness Wednesdays. I'm your host, Khaliah Guillory, and I am beyond grateful that you are here. So hang out with us. Nuck if you bug, we are nucking for Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. So we nucking for that. All right, we getting buck against all the stereotypes, all the stigma. Like, we are putting that to bed today. So grab your digital pad, your tablets, grab your pen and paper, because I'm almost certain that these superstars in the mental health space that we are fortunate to share space with today are going to drop some massive gems. So please, by all means, nuck if you buck with us. If you can do me a favor, go ahead and jump into your chat. For my folks on Facebook Live, go into your comments and drop us just, some thoughts today of what you're looking to get out of this conversation. If you already have questions, go ahead and drop them in. If this is your first time to joining us for Wellness Wednesdays, you will quickly realize that this is untraditional. It's no script that we're going to follow. So if you have a question in the real time, please drop that question in real time, because we will do our best to answer it in real time. We do have Q&A at the end. So don't feel the need to hold it, but please, if you are joining us with the intimate live from Zoom, please also go into the chat and drop in some thoughts that you have, some questions that you might already have, and just your overall feeling today. Like, what's your feeling from a mental health standpoint? Today, my diffuser has orange in it to fight off some depression, because orange essential oils help fight off and ward off the depression, along with jasmine. So, and lemongrass help boost your spirits. So, there's some things that we can do if we feel that little nudge of darkness trying to come in and be like, not today, darkness, the light is coming through here. So make sure you got everything you need. We will be getting started in T-minus 2 minutes. T-minus 2 minutes. If you haven't already done so, if you just joined in, welcome to our Wellness Wednesdays. We are streaming live from Facebook. Please go in, drop your comments, and let us know what you were thinking about, how you feeling from a mental capacity today. If you have any questions, and do the same if you are in our Zoom link as well. And we will get started here shortly. All right, let's see, Facebook. Jess, Angelina, you guys have any questions for me?
No, just kind of brushed up on the latest stats so that I could be accurate, but I'm just free flowing today.
That's how we like to do it.
Free flowing.
So the questions that we submit are really just for a baseline. Mm-hmm. And we our best segments, all of our segments are the best because we just allow things to organically and authentically just kind of happen.
Right.
All right, let's see here. So if you guys would like to, if you could go ahead, if you're on Facebook, go ahead and share. If you want to share that thread, it's from the NapBar page. If you want to share the Facebook live stream, and then we'll go ahead and kick off and get started. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and share it to my personal page. All right, let's say we are live. And just your handle is McDaniel Jessica, right? On Facebook? Okay. Angelina, you changed your profile picture on Facebook from yesterday, didn't you? I caught you. Oh, you're on mute still.
So I don't take selfies. And Jessica said, I need a picture. And I said, I can't. I always, one eye will be bigger than the other, just something. And I said, I'm not going to make it through this. And she said, oh, you're one of those. I'm going to coach you through this. And I'm like, so I sent her one picture and she said, okay, now take it again, look down, tilt your head. So we did this so many times. And the camera was counting down 3, 2, 1. And something just struck me as so hilarious that I was even doing this. And I could not stop laughing. And the phone kept doing the 3, 2, 1 and was taking pictures. So when my children saw my pictures on my phone, they said, oh, you need to change your profile. And they said, and pick this one because you're so serious all the time. The world needs to see that you know how to laugh. And
I love that.
That's how that happened. So I'm thankful for two things. One, I'm comfortable in the home I'm in. I guess maybe everybody doesn't feel that way, and I recognize that. And two, I like the people I'm living with.
Ooh.
And those two things are so critical during this climate, you know, to be comfortable in the space that you call home and to really get joy from the people that you live with. And so those are the two things that keep me going right now.
That is so good. That is so good. And it's so important, right? To make sure that we are comfortable in our space and we actually don't mind being around people we're around because we have no choice to be around them.
Right. Because you're gonna see them way more often. And we've cleared out a lot of what we call formal furniture. We've set up card tables. You know, I'm looking for a pool table on Let It Go, you know, and I'm like, we're going to make this the place that forget rigid formalities. Let's make this space reflect how we can come together and enjoy one another.
Oh, I love it. Oh,
yeah.
I love it.
My kids think I'm just ridiculous.
The way you listen, the way you are exuding and beaming right now, I feel your energy, and I don't know.
Well, good. Well, good.
I'm getting emotional about that. Like I know why I'm getting emotional about it. So I am a motherless child. My mother transitioned in 2002, and your aura reminds me of her.
Wow.
So thank you.
Wow, wonderful. That's wonderful. So I did something bizarre this morning in this time of COVID. I read a story, I think sometime last night, about 2 young kids who have lost their parents 5 days apart. It's a Latino family. They lost their mother first, and then they lost their father 5 days apart. And both parents had tested positive for COVID and were quarantining at home and, you know, just riding this out, right? Like we all have to do. And since that story hit so close to home, I said, let me keep reading. What happened? How did this happen? And just here one day, gone tomorrow, just all of a sudden. And I said, this thing is vicious. So this morning, I woke up really early and my daughter comes running out, you know, and she says, Mama, I haven't slept all night. I just learned how to play Sudoku. And so I said, look, I want to have a conversation with you and I want to videotape it. And she said, why? I said, well, honey, I don't have a will. And the way this is going, now I feel great, but the way things are going, we need to be ready with our financial affairs, with what our wishes are, that sort of thing. So she's like, Mama, you're so extra. I said, okay. So I'm going to have this conversation with you and I'm going to record us, right? So I'm recording with her all that I want for her and my other 2 children and my finances. So it's funny you bring up your mom and losing your mom, because as from a mom standpoint, I'm thinking, I don't have my affairs in order. You know, who knows what. So I told her where the information I keep very detailed records. I guess I shouldn't say that on Facebook, huh? And so I told her where to get, you know, all my financial affairs, what I want done with property, what I want done. I have a child with a disability for life, what I would like to see. And then I gave her a plan A and a plan B and a plan C, because you never know. Right. I said, and then I ended it with some just general thoughts. And I said, and this is where we're going to keep this video. And so she has access to that. And I just think that I think that a part of wellness, that entire conversation, wellness doesn't stop just at the end of your life, but it continue. It's a continuum, right?
It
There are
is.
things that your life impacts even when you're no longer here, right? You're embodied in the people that you love and grew to appreciate while you were alive. And so anyway, I just wanted to kind of hone in on that since you brought it up, that from a parent's perspective, you never know what's going to happen. Tomorrow is not promised. This is COVID. This is just one thing, but there's many other things. Now, most parents have lost last 24
Uh-oh, I don't know if it's on my end or is Angelina coming through a little choppy for you guys too?
Okay, let's see what else I can cut off. Let me cut this off.
With that being said, two things. We're gonna go ahead and get started. And the first is I want to make a connection real quick. You discussed wills, and I was 22 years old when I had to bury my mother. Thank God for my older sister because she's
I didn't know.
8 years older than I am, so she kind of jumped in. But I can't stress enough, especially in our community, the importance of having a will, having everything in place. I mean, literally all we had to do was show up and start our grieving process. So we didn't have to scramble, and we didn't have to put together a fish fry. We didn't have to put together, if GoFundMe would have been the thing back then, we didn't have to worry about that. So I encourage everyone who's listening right now, even if you are young and you feel as though you don't have a lot of liabilities or even assets, please, by all means, wills are very cost effective nowadays, and your loved ones will thank you graciously for giving them the space to grieve. And with that, Angelina, meet Lauren. Lauren can actually take that video and put it into an actual document, a legal document, and also help you with some other things. So y'all should definitely get connected.
Yes, because I'm what you call a registered payee. So those types of affairs have to be predetermined. Otherwise, they go into probate, they get guardianship through the county. I mean, I don't want that for my family. I want things to be a smooth transition. So, but at least I had presence of mind to say, this is my heart. This is what I want you to know.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. That was so rich. If this is an indication of what this conversation is about, woo, let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and kick this thing off officially. So welcome everybody to Wellness Wednesdays. For all our folks who are joining us via Zoom, hello, what's up? Thank you for joining our intimate setting. And for our other friends who are streaming live via Facebook, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for being present. And thank you just for simply being you. I am your host, Khaliah Guillory. I am the founder and CEO of NapBar. This Wellness Wednesday all came along because the first couple of weeks into COVID for the stay-at-home order, your girl was not doing well. I was battling some deep depression because I am a true extrovert. I like being in the world. I like connecting with people. My energy is recharged with different people. So when you tell me I got to be home for who knows how long, it wasn't good. So one of the things that I did to really capture my mental health, along with seeking out my therapist and having sessions and having conversations with my healer, is that I also decided to unplug from social media for 30 days. I took a 30-day hiatus. And one of the cool, innovative projects that I created during the COVID shuffle for NapBar is #Wellness Wednesday. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being a part of this community. As I mentioned before, this is a totally unscripted, we just roll how we roll. So if you have any questions or comments, or you already have some questions for us before we even get kicked off, feel free to drop those in your comments as well as chat. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and kick this party off. I believe in bios, so I will read these bios, but I also believe in giving a glimpse of a connection. And so I got connected to Jessica McDaniel. Gosh, Jess, it was maybe before COVID, like right before COVID, about February, January, beginning of the year. And let me tell you, the fortune is in the follow-up for Jessica, because she has consistently followed up with me. As y'all know, I'm always moving and I got a million and one things going on. But I tell you, I always told her, like, Jess, I promise I want to connect. I want to connect. It's just the timing just wasn't right. But when the timing presented itself, magic has definitely happened. And so, Jess, thank you for being who you are. Thank you.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
No, it's real talk. Thank you for not just being one and done. Thank you for following up with me consistently and doing and offering an immense amount of grace as you were doing it. Thank you for that. So from the professional standpoint,
always showing up. I know how much you have going on, and like you said, you always make room for me and what we have going on here at NAMI. You've always shown up, so I appreciate you.
All the love, all the love. All right, so let me tell y'all who this dope creature is. I mean, she's the director of development for NAMI Greater Houston. Now, NAMI stands for National Alliance on Mental Illness, and she is the director of development there, and she's also a community activist. So check this out. Jessica McDaniel is in their NAMI's, let me go back. NAMI's mission is to provide support, education, and advocacy for those affected by mental illness on any level. Jessica helps support this mission through fundraising and awareness and building relationships with community partners. Through her work with NAMI, Jessica has become passionate about mental health for all, but she gives special attention to health disparities in communities of color. Jessica has always been service-minded, growing up as a preacher's kid. Come on, PK, in Alabama. Woo!
Alabama.
All right. She found her love for nonprofit work after becoming a mentor in the Big Brother, Big Sister program in Atlanta, Georgia. From there, she moved into her development career, which has spanned multiple nonprofits in the Atlanta and Houston area. Please join me by giving a round of applause to Jessica. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday, my friend. All right, now listen, my first time really having an interaction with Angelina was just now. And if you joined us earlier, this woman here, her spirit, her energy, her aura, it's white, pure light. Like I feel it through this live stream. So I feel like I've been knowing, I want to sit at your feet and just sit and listen and learn. Like I just want to hang around you because I want some of that magnetic, contagious energy. So I honor you as one of our stewards and our best teachers in our community, Angelina. So thank you for being who you are. And I am absolutely excited to get to know you better.
Same here.
On paper, from a professional standpoint, this mover and shaker is the director of programs for said organization, NAMI. Her focus is to expand the number of NAMI programs and services in the Houston area, supporting individuals and families who strive for recovery. She is passionate about increasing the numbers of individuals who participate in awareness and educational opportunities and to reduce the stigma. We're going to talk a lot about that surrounding mental illness diagnoses, especially, I believe, in the Black and Brown communities.
Yeah.
Angelina has a bachelor's degree in political science from the University of Texas at Austin and a master's degree in public administration. Come on now. Angelina attended her first NAMI education class in fall 2000 while navigating resources for her son's brain disorder. Her motivation and energy to inspire others comes from her desire to help and support them in the same manner by which she found support through NAMI. Y'all give me a obnoxious warm welcome. Join me with it. Round of applause to Angelina Hudson. I feel like I should be saying like, come on down.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, let's get this party started. So, first question. I had no idea there was said Minority Mental Health Awareness Month in July. How long has this thing been going on and who started such an incredible thing?
Well, it started in 2008 to honor B.B. Moore Campbell, who at the time was, she had been battling cancer herself, but prior to her death in 2006, she was the executive director for NAMI Urban Los Angeles. And people don't know this about B.B. Moore Campbell, but her daughter played on, I think, In the House.
Maya Campbell.
I'm sorry?
Maya Campbell.
Yes, Maya Campbell. And Maya
Bella Pooja.
Campbell's diagnosis is bipolar disorder. And most people who get involved with NAMI, and I want to say the majority, are those who've been helped by the organization. And so that's true to form with BB Moore Campbell. She was helped by NAMI Urban Los Angeles, and later began working as the executive director. And so to honor her, this month was declared Minority Mental Health Month to raise awareness, because it's very complex and very, very different in approaching communities of color to help families who struggle. I have to say, historically, NAMI as an organization has really been more prevalent in communities that are white and not communities of color. And I don't think it's because there's been a lack of effort to push that agenda. It's just that in communities of color across the board, this is not the language or the terminology we use in describing what's going on in our homes.
And do you think it's just because it goes back to the fact that we're just running 400 years behind? Because, mental health, I went to college with people who were constantly going to see, they had a therapist already in high school, and that was a foreign thing for me. I wasn't exposed to therapy until my mother passed away, and it started in the church, and then it kind of morphed from there. So why do you think that is?
Now, there was some research done by Dr. King Davis. You're right, because this is not in my notes at all, but there was some research done a few years back by Dr. King Davis in Austin, and he found through his research that 80% of African Americans will still go to their clergy first when they're dealing with a mental health or emotional wellness issue. And then only 15% of those who have reached out to clergy will then get a referral to a clinician. And I think historically speaking, those who you found when you were in college were going to therapists already, it was because that was introduced to them through their families. And historically through our families, we don't see systems of care as very welcoming or understanding of our issues. So that's not where we go. We go to our own healers. I'm half African-American, and my mother is Latina, right? We go to our own healers, we go. And because my mother is the one who's Latina, imagine when my son showed up with a brain disorder, she said, I know what to do. Took my son, and here we go, right? To our big grandmother. I got my son back. He had the petrified eyeball of a deer around his neck with a red string. I had some poems to put under a candle under his bed that night. I mean, so people do what they learn to do through the history of their family and what their families do. And so I'm not surprised that you were an adult before you were introduced to therapy, because you only do what you know to do.
You only do what you know to do.
Historically, in our communities, there's a mistrust of the medical system anyway, right? So it's been well documented that people of color have been mistreated in a variety of ways. Like, don't get me started on the Tuskegee experiment. And that's just, one of the biggest ones. And that's just the one that we know of. So, like Angelina said, for those reasons, historically, we don't trust the medical system. So we'll go to each other first, and we don't seek out the care that we need. And then on top of that, there's the stigma of mental illness on top of, other races. We don't do that. That's not us. He's just a little touched. We'll pray it away. There are all kinds of ways that we name it, rename it, justify it, excuse it, anything but what it is. So of course, if we're unable to, or if we refuse to see it for what it is, we can't get help for it. And then also a lot of it is generational. Like you said, you were introduced to that through college, but I guarantee you, your parents weren't. That's not something they learned that early. And same thing with me. My family is way old school. So I don't need to talk to nobody. I'm all right. Just mind over matter, work through it. But because I am more educated and aware about mental health, it's something I've already introduced to my children. So, hopefully we're breaking that generational cycle, even through conversations like these.
And that was my next question. Like, how? Like, I feel like we have done at the point where we are right now, we have done a lot to identify where the issue is, right? So how do we combat the stigma that, oh, they're just a little touch, or you just need to go and pray it away. Go, I'm an old Catholic girl, I was an altar girl. You just go and say 10 Hail Marys and 10 All Fathers and share your sins with the priest, and then you'll be good. Well, that might not work. I'm just saying. So it might, but it might not. So, you know, what are some of the tools in you guys' toolkits that you can share that we can start to shift the narrative right now in our homes, that people can take away from watching this and listening to this right now, to shift the narrative so that, you know, their kids are exposed to, that therapy is cool. You know, my therapist, Elisa Boquin, she talks about how therapy is dope, and she's a Latina woman, and, you know, she's brown and Black and represent our community. But that's one of the ways we're doing it. This is another way we're doing it. What are some other ideas that you guys have that we can really kill that glass ceiling when it comes to the stigma and mental health in our community?
I say one step is just to normalize it, right? Talk about it. It's not taboo. Don't whisper it. Don't go in the other room. Talk about it around your kids. Talk about it around your friends, and without shame. And that will be a major step in helping our kids understand what it is. My daughter, the other day, you know how we would joke as kids and talk about your mama and you crazy. My daughter said, you have mental health issues. I overheard her in a Zoom call with her girlfriends. You have mental health issues. Like, that's not something my parents would have ever said. So it's definitely not something I would have said growing up. So we're already doing it, and just making it normal to talk about it, expose the children to it, expose ourselves, expose each other, expose our friends, and call it what it is. You know, like Angelina just said, like Maya Campbell, I know a lot of her journey with drugs and bipolar disorder has been very public, but you'll hear them reference the drugs more than you will the mental health issues. Oh, she's just on drugs, you know, she's cracked out, but that's only a piece of the puzzle. That's only part of the story. And by identifying it and calling it what it is, you'll be able to see it in other people. Hashtag Kanye, and get it addressed.
You went there already.
We need another call just for our boy Ye. That's a whole nother call.
I do have 2 or 3 things that I have seen work, and I've watched them. They worked with me, and I've seen it work in other people's lives. So I want to highlight them. Number 1 is our stories, sharing our stories. Make videos of people who have been down those roads and back again with hope and recovery stories. And put those out, and make sure that the faces resemble the communities that you're trying to touch, and that their stories and their experience. I remember remarkably, we had one person who, and I won't name him, but he's one of our Inner Own Voice speakers from the Chinese community. And he said, you know what, my dad is my hero, because he turned his back on his entire family. He turned his back on everything he knew, everything he believed, their faith, everything, just to get him a psychiatrist. And to this day, his dad is still his hero and champions for him. And so we have a program at NAMI called Inner Own Voice. And the purpose for Inner Own Voice is we train and certify people how to share their stories in a way that does not toxify or impact the audience in a negative way, but it goes down the dark days and how they came to accept their diagnosis and what their treatment plans are and what their coping skills are, which are very different, right? Treatment and coping. Your coping skills are what you do on your own outside of medication and clinical attention. And then the second thing that I've seen work, in addition to telling stories, is peer navigation. And right now, the state of Texas, I think, leads the country in terms of certifying and using community health workers in communities of color, right? To identify, seek out, and then promote health in their own community, to link them to resources and connect them to systems of care. Because like Jessica was saying, our communities don't trust systems of care. I mean, they just don't trust. I've been to a number of events in the African-American community, and I stand in the back as they have speakers talk, and grandmothers and the like will come to me and say, do you really believe what these people are saying? Do you really trust them? So there's no conversation about medication and treatment, Jessica, without the Tuskegee experiments coming up. But those are old. What about today's experience? I don't want to get into I'm not going to get into a political soapbox, but it didn't stop at Tuskegee, okay? And so people have a big distrust, and maybe they should. I don't know. But what I do know is that there's always somebody out there that cares. There is an advocate for every situation. You have to find your own way to achieve wellness and balance. And I guess that's what this call is about. During this time of COVID and all the community trauma that's going on, where do Black people find balance and hope? For me, it started with controlling my environment here at home, hanging this little picture on the wall and buying some little plants to put in a vase over here. It started with trying to make my home prettier for me, spots where I can read, places where I can sit. I went to a resale shop and bought a table and chair just to sit outside, that kind of thing. So, my son is digging through what people are throwing away. Mama, here's a good table. I'm like, okay, honey, we can slow down with the scavenging. But anyway, you have to find a way to just make your own experience as healthy, because one of the things I was telling Jessica before this started, most of the time, especially as a person from the African American community, we believe that we can get through anything. My people persecuted. My people been 400 years of being abused and downtrodden, and we thrive. We come back. But the problem with hanging on to the fact that we can do it all is that the mind is a very fragile thing, and we have to take care of it. So sometimes not talking about so much we do have strength as a people, but not just to focus on the strength, but focus on the care. And it's okay. It's okay. It's okay if you're used to making $60,000 a year or $100,000 a year. And right now you need to go get a volunteer job and maybe a $30,000 a year job just to give yourself a break. How much do you really need? When all the dry cleaners closed, I realized a lot of my clothes was dry cleaning. I can just throw it in the washing machine. Now I live on 10 outfits in Zoom and a tube of lipstick right here by the thing. That's it. I don't need a lot now, I just need a few things, and so, we just have to scale back and figure out what supports our health and what supports our mental health and what takes away from it. And then, recalibrate your life so the things that bring you joy, you have more of that.
Listen, I already got a page of notes, okay? I hope y'all who are streaming live, those who are joining us in this intimate setting via Zoom, you are taking your notes. There were so many gems dropped. The mind is a very fragile thing. We have to take care of it. Focus on the strength. Don't focus on the strength, but the care. And then find your own way to achieve wellness and balance. I mean, just yesterday I had mood lighting installed in my house because I realized that I'm going to be spending more time here. So I might as well make it zenful for me.
I haven't figured out how to use it, but I just bought one of these.
That's a diffuser.
Yeah. I don't, like I say, see, it still got the tape. I don't know exactly what to do, but I'm going to figure out how to get me some orange oil, like you were talking earlier.
Your orange oil, orange oil will fight that depression. That lemongrass will help boost that immune system in your spirit.
See, I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. So be easy on yourself. Take
grace. Give ourselves a lot of grace. The chat is blowing up. The comments are blowing up. Teresa Caldwell said, "Nice profile picture, Angelina." Erica says, "So true. You gave me a great idea." Candace, hey cousin, welcome to Wellness Wednesday and our Facebook Live. They are going in on you guys in a great way, showing you all the love. Candace said, "This is good." Thank you for that, cousin. Joy said, "Hey Joy, we don't trust the medical system because they continue to fail us. Misdiagnosed illnesses, not asking the right questions." Okay, I want to unpack that.
There.
Let's unpack that a bit more, because I that's definitely where I wanted us to go back to, rewind that tape a little bit. you tell me if this is the right thought process, and then you guys tell me what we should be thinking, because I come from the thought process that some of that is on us too, right? Like they aren't asking the right questions because we haven't armed ourselves with the education so that we can share with them really truly what's going on with us. So, all right, okay. Tell me what you're thinking.
So one of the things I'm responsible for is the psychoeducation classes through NAMI. And I'm gonna be honest, when I started off as a recipient of the service, not as a program director and all of that. So when I did not truly believe that sitting in a class for 2.5 hours talking about my problems was going to change my life. And nothing was further from the truth. Nothing. If there's been anything, second to God himself, that's really helped me in my journey, it has been educating myself on brain development and why things go wrong and how do you mediate those things, and how to talk to the doctor, how to talk to extended family, how to understand my own emotional journey as I'm the caregiver of someone with a brain disorder. So these classes are free, and they've been free for 30 years in the greater Houston area. I will tell you, when I started working here about 9 years ago, uh, I was the only one that looked like me that sat in a class. And so, I mean, that wasn't 9 years ago, that was 20 years ago. But even now, bringing it current, we have 2 classes now. One is peer-to-peer and the other is family-to-family, that are focused on the African-American community. There are less than 10 people, African-American, in the class for family members. And I checked on the peer-to-peer class last night. They have 2 people registered. Now, that's not to say that's because of the African-American community. We don't have a big budget for advertising either. I'm sure if we had Coke money or Pepsi-Cola money, we'd have more people in the classes. But the point is, it is hard sometimes to think that just sitting in a educational setting to learn something is going to really change what's going on in our house. But what we believe and what we think determines how we behave. Your thoughts.
Wait. Say that again.
What we believe and value and what we think, it dictates our behavior. And our behavior drives our physical well-being. So it starts in, thank you. Someone brought me my phone. Thank you. So it starts in our thought life. And we have to feed our thoughts, feed our minds with truth. And that only comes through education. And for too many generations, we just lean on the education of our elders. And that's good. I'm not saying that's bad. But we also need to educate ourselves. If you have diabetes, you educate yourself on diabetes and diet. If you have any other leukemia, then you educate yourself on blood cancers and how to best live and thrive. Same thing with autism, same thing with mental health conditions. We have to educate ourselves on how best to either be the caregiver or the person striving for recovery.
So let me ask you this. So I think this is probably the baseline of where this conversation is going and what most people are thinking about as well. So, Joy had also mentioned, absolutely, we have to do our homework too. Some people just don't know. We're also educated people having these conversations on this platform. We have to think about people who don't have access to the same resources. So when we think about folks who are in the 3rd ward, where COVID numbers are running rampant up there because they just don't have the resources. They don't have masks. They're not perhaps doing all the things that they need to do to prevent the exposure. So to Joy's point, for those people who don't have access to the same resources that you and I might have, like, what can we do to get them the education that they need so that they can be aware too?
I mean, I'm so glad to address resources, because I really fall back on Dr. Ruby Payne. She's a researcher and owner of a literary company called AHA Process. And it's not about having additional resources. It's learning how to use the resources that we have. If you look at the people 20, 50, 60 years ago from our communities that were in the, living under the poverty level, they actually lived richer lives than we do now with more access, with more money. And that's not because they had, I mean, it's really tied to how we use the resources that we do have. And so I think that any type of recovery you're going to talk about, whether you're talking about alcohol or substance abuse recovery, mental health recovery, some kind of physical illness recovery, any type of recovery that you're striving for, you're going to be as successful as you can use and develop the resources that you have to get to where you're going. If you start from I don't have enough and I don't, no one's helping me. If you start from that mindset, you're not going to go as far as a person who starts with, okay, what strengths do I already have? And how can I use what I have to move forward? I do not have understanding. I did not have any understanding of autism. I didn't have a magic wand to erase that from my son's existence. But learning how to take what he could do to get as independent as he can and always work from a strength-based with a strength-based mindset and fortitude has taken us further than any doctor or any clinician or any therapist ever said he would go. And I'm still pushing. I'm still not through. I'm not finished yet. So the point is, I think we just have to look at, so you asked clearly, how do families get this information? Well,
those who don't have the same access that we do, right? So imagine like your situation, but you didn't have a mother that said, hey, we're going to do this. I know exactly what to do.
I didn't keep going down that route though.
But
your mama, but I couldn't do that egg thing. Yeah. So yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Because I even think about like my own upbringing. I hail from Port Arthur, the great town of Port Arthur, Texas, and Port Arthur is below the poverty line, and there's not a lot of access or resources there. So take your situation, put you in Port Arthur, and you didn't have any access to any resource,
sure.
Like, and you don't know what you don't know, like what
don't know what you. That's all it is. You just don't know. So you find somebody in a similar position you've been in that's doing better than you and say, how did you get there?
Okay.
So what I did, to be honest, because I didn't know NAMI existed. So I went from school to school. I said, okay, I might be looking at a house in this neighborhood. I was not looking for a house in that neighborhood. I just needed a tour of the school so I could see, what are you doing over here for these children that have the same ailment, so that I will know what the possibilities are for me. So I just kept asking the question. And finally, someone said to me, a special education chair in Fort Bend, he said to me, Ms. Hudson, you need more education. You need NAMI. And I said, what's a NAMI? And he said, it's an organization that has free classes for you to take. I said, well, how do I take the class? He said, well, we usually wait until we have about 20 people and we'll start a new class. I said, well, put me on the wait list. Some months later, he called me and he said, Ms. Hudson, we're going to start a class. Now, I couldn't go to the class because I didn't have babysitting. I didn't have anyone to watch my 3 babies if I made it to said class. So that happens today. Right now, people will call us and say, I can't come to the class. I can't drive there. I don't have transportation. Now we do all of our classes on Zoom. They'll call us and say, I don't have a laptop or I don't have internet. And so those are special cases. You just have to call and say, give me another way to take the class. And we're going to find that solution. We will remedy that. So there's really no barrier. There's really no barrier, but you have to advocate for yourself. I had to swallow my own pride. As I started placing different organizations on my team, I deal with one with autism. I had 2 with ADHD. One of those with ADHD also was diagnosed with ODD. Oh my goodness. You want to talk about the judgment against parents with children with ODD. You're bad parents.
Those who might not be aware of what ODD is.
Okay, so ADHD, of course, is the attention deficit disorder with the hyperactivity. And then ODD is oppositional defiance disorder, which most of the world just consider BADD, bad, ODD, what? And so when you have a child with who's developing differently, okay, than other children that age, everyone looks at the parent. And so you have to fortify yourself with knowledge and grace for your own situation. That ODD thing lasted a long time, and then it morphed into something else called bipolar disorder. But throughout that journey and all of the ridiculous circumstances we found ourselves in through school, I just showed up. But I was able to show up and stand through those storms, yes, because of my own faith, but also because I had NAMI support groups. And I had other parents going through the same thing I was going through. And when I went to share with them what was happening in my life, they were uncritical, they were non judgmental, they were informative, they were supportive, and they walked the journey with me. Sometimes, as families, we just need somebody to walk the journey with us. And that's what we offer.
Yeah, I
I
love that.
Why? Because we're not hearing from
Just
Nadia.
well, no, they're taking notes. This is all you two are the subject matter experts. They just joined to be a part of the intimate setting. Jessica, I want to hear from you, the director of development. You know, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on folks who might not have access to the resources? And then I want to quickly, because guys, we're almost at the top of the hour. I want to pivot over to, you mentioned your kids and having this conversation. I'm curious of any stats that you guys might have on how are Black and brown people coping with COVID. One of the things I thought about, Angelina had talked about her COVID uniform and she was going to the dry cleaners. I saw a comment, Joy said, yes, the COVID uniform. I think all of us have been rocking the
outfits. We
COVID
just rotate
uniform.
them through.
Even our hair, right? Like you talked about how you cut your hair because you couldn't go to the salon.
Mhm.
I wonder, like, how are we who, as a community, we are known for our appearance. We're known for, like, when my hair is done, it's just like something magical happens. Like I feel good about myself.
Right.
Jessica, any first question, let me go back. Any thoughts about the resources for those underrepresented communities who just don't know what they don't know? And then moving on to, you know, any stats that you have or how are we coping during the pandemic from a mental standpoint?
Absolutely. So Angelina kind of touched briefly on kind of my biggest thing about resources, and it's self-advocacy. We have to advocate for ourselves. We know ourselves better than anyone. You know what's wrong. So when we go to the doctors, and often, especially as Black people and Black women, they're going to dismiss us. They're, you know, oh, they're just, but you know yourself, you know your children, and you have to advocate for the health and the resources and the support that you need. Kind of like we talked earlier about nucking and bucking. Sometimes it's like that. I personally, one of my personal journeys is I have lupus, and the average time it takes to get diagnosed with lupus from your first symptoms is 7 years.
Wow.
7 years. And unfortunately, there are very similar situations in the mental health community. Misdiagnoses, children who are labeled as just hyper, adults, you know, who are mistreated, mislabeled, misdiagnosed. And it's debilitating. It's just difficult in the community as a whole and as individuals. So we have to advocate for ourselves, and also we have to advocate for each other. If you have the resources, if you're aware of them, share that. And a lot of that kind of goes back to what I was originally saying about normalizing it. If you're talking about these things in conversation, you'll get to a point, kind of like Angelina said, you'll find somebody like you that does have the resources that you don't have. You know, what do you mean you're depressed? How do you deal with that? You know, like you just shared your orange essential oils diffusers, right? So now that's something that I can take and bring into my environment. So we have to keep it real with each other. We have to keep it real with ourselves, and we have to fight for how we feel, for the treatment that we deserve. Unfortunately, in our history shows that they're not going to do it for us. We have to demand it ourselves. But thankfully, there are also organizations like NAMI who do advocate, who are purposefully reaching into those specific communities that where the disparity levels are higher, to help, because we realize that is part of the problem, right? Some people just, like you say, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't have access to the help that you need. So that's what we're hoping to do. That's why I talk so much. That's why I, try to explain what we do at NAMI, because it's there. And like Angelina said, if she had not known, she would not have had the difference in her life that NAMI made. And that goes for so many people.
Right.
It goes for so many
Changed
people.
my whole life. Thank you, Jessica, for that. Because
I don't know why I have like something just hit me just now. Like I have, and we could talk about this offline, is to have like for us to do a collaboration where we specifically target the underrepresented communities here in Houston and provide some way to get them streamed resources like right now during COVID. So let's,
So one of the things we're launching next month is called Healing Circles. Everything NAMI already does is targeted or pointed specifically towards mental health wellness, supporting mental health. But a lot of people going through COVID.
Angelina, can we pin that? Because I don't want us to run out of time, and I do have like some more.
Oh, the stats, right?
Yeah. And I will circle back on that if you guys have time after, because I want to stay true to people's time. I want to definitely revisit that for sure. For sure. Jessica, I know you were going to finish up with some stats.
Yeah, so I don't have the specific numbers, but I mean, even in the news, you can see that COVID is affecting African-American communities and communities of color much heavier than they're affecting other parts of the population. So again, NAMI is basically, we'll look at the map, right? We look at the zip codes where the cases of COVID are, and you can easily see it's those neighborhoods. It's those neighborhoods where communities of color are more prevalent and stronger. And we can debate and argue about all day about why that is. It's been suggested that, oh, well, Black people can't listen. They don't follow the social distancing rules, right? And we know that's not it. It's been blamed on, Angelina and I were talking about this earlier, a lot of it is blamed on pre-existing conditions. But if you look at the actual people who are dying, they don't all have pre-existing conditions. And so there is something to it. And I really wish that the COVID professionals would dig deeper into figuring out why that is, as opposed to just blowing it off at those surface things. But communities of color are being hit hard. And also the suicide rate is going up due to COVID, specifically in Black communities.
And children.
Children, Black men and children are committing suicide at a higher rate. And I do think a lot of that is the pandemic itself, right? You have people who are dealing with job loss, people who are dealing with isolation that they haven't faced before. Like you said, Khaliah, you're an extrovert. So imagine being 17 and being an extrovert and not being educated on mental health yet. And you suddenly have your graduation cut out, all of your basketball, activities cut off. And you haven't been taught coping skills. You're not in an environment where you're taught to cope. So they're taking their own lives instead of reaching out and expressing what they're going through, because they don't understand what they're going through. Right. And so they definitely don't think somebody else is going to understand and be able to help. So it's difficult. It's alarming. And I wish we had the answers. Unfortunately, we don't, other than kind of, to reiterate the things that we've been saying: reach out, destigmatize, normalize, self-care, self-advocacy, being involved, because we want to see our communities thrive, but we also just want to see it survive, right? We have to start there.
I do want to share with you one stat. Right now, the Latino community is the #1 community with the highest number in our population being diagnosed as positive with COVID-19. And that's the Hispanic community. However, the African American community at 57% are the highest number of cases where there are deaths related to COVID-19. So if you look at the top number of people who are being diagnosed and the top number of people who are actually succumbing to COVID-19, they're both Black and brown, the Hispanic community and the African American community. And there have been, like Jessica just stated, there've been a lot of hypotheses as to why that is: the pre-existing underlying conditions, the not following the practices of safeguarding against catching the disease. But one researcher says that one of the top reasons is just plain old poverty. You have more people living in one household. You're living in closer proximity than you are when you're living if you're an apartment dweller or a condo dweller, that kind of thing. And then the jobs, if you look at the jobs that people have who are dying by COVID, they are maybe not non-essential jobs, but people cannot stop working, or if I don't work, I can't pay my rent, I can't eat, I can't pay my car note. So they're picking up extra jobs during COVID just to make ends meet. And so they're exposed more, they're out there with the virus more, they don't have the ability to work from home, they don't have those type of jobs, that kind of thing. And that's why the numbers are higher in the Black and Brown community. And one more statistic, less than 0.1% of individuals are under 25 years of age are being impacted by COVID. However, the death toll is going up in that same population because of suicide. And that suicide is related to the isolation and all of the fallout from COVID. Like Jessica said, no sports, no school, no prom, no graduation, no summer camps. You know, life for young people has become very, you know, just a death sentence, you know, because they don't have, like she said, the coping skills. They don't have, you know, the outlets for all of how they feel that things are being taken away from them at this time. And if there was an underlying predisposition for a mental health condition such as depression or anxiety, and we have a history of not treating that with therapy,
Right.
then the outcomes are very sad.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Ladies, we've got 3 minutes left on the clock. Gosh, that time flew by. It was so rich. It was so pure. I definitely want to open it up to our folks who are streaming via Facebook Live. Feel free to drop your questions in your comments section. For our folks who are here, Lauren Nady, please tell me I'm pronouncing it correctly. If you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourselves, or you can drop it in the chat, and we will definitely take advantage of that. So while they're doing that, we did have Teresa. She mentioned in the chat for Facebook, grace for the day. Grace has been the thing today. Grace was my daily devotional was around grace today. Just enough grace for today. That's really it. And while people are thinking about the questions that they might have, I want to know, what are y'all doing for fun? Like, what are you doing right now? How are you reinventing yourself? What's your idea of fun while you're in the house? What music are you listening to? Give me all the deals. Give me all the tea.
You know, I'm old school, so you know there's some Al Green going on in the house.
Oh, come on, Al.
You know, but I will say this: if I have one instrument that I can share, that I use to keep everything percolating, that's my brother's word, percolating. It is the 8 dimensions of wellness, and that's online, samhsa.gov. You can look it up, and I've always used some sort of recipe to kind of keep myself on balance. And right now, with my kiddos being young adults, I use and promote the 8 dimensions of wellness. So my atmosphere, my environment has to be right. I may not have a whole lot of finances, but I need to know where they're going. I need to predetermine that before the check hits the bank so I don't run out, you know. And there's there's 8 things that you pay attention to. And if you go to that online, it'll share with you on how to achieve that balance.
Awesome. Jess?
I listen to a lot of music. I watch a lot of TV. I'm not an extrovert, so I'm okay with hanging out at the house all the time.
I'm finding that some of my introvert friends they're having bouts with struggling with it too, which is, you know, that's different.
Because even though we're introverted, and I consider myself an ambivert, but you still have an outlet, and it's even more severe if it's your only one, right? So if you're introverted 90% of the time, but you're counting on that 1% of the time where you're interacting with your friends, where you're being social, and that's completely cut off. Mm-hmm. It goes from 100 to nothing. So it's struggle even for the introverts. Like I consider myself an ambivert, so I have a little bit of balance. I find ways to reach out and interact when I need to, and other times I'm perfectly okay being by myself when my children leave me alone. But so I watch a lot of movies, a lot of Netflix, a lot of wine. I started.
Didn't know if it was appropriate to share here. I didn't know if we could talk about, but Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
Zoom happy hour, girl. I mean, so you get with your friends, you share with them what wine to go buy, whatever, and then you have a little wine party on Zoom, that kind of thing. So I've been really connecting with friends And that's on Zoom, not the telephone, you know, so we can see everyone.
We'll see each other's faces.
Yeah.
We need that as humans,
Yeah.
even though we don't realize it. We need that personal connection.
So guys, I know we're at time. I want to be respectful, but I will ask you, if you have 5 more minutes to give, please share it with us, because I would like to throw it back to Angelina to finish that, because we want to unpin what you were talking about. Well, someone asked a question. Let me answer it real quick. The 8 Dimensions of Wellness, is that a book? And can they get it on Amazon?
No, actually, it's a framework, and it's on a website called SAMHSA.gov, SAMSHA.
SAMSHA.
MHA. So it's SAMHSA.
Can you drop that in the chat for me?
Yes, I'm gonna have to do that. SAMHSA.gov.
Okay.
It's an acronym.
Okay. So, all right. So we talked about our wine. We talked about what we're doing to get through this, but I personally want to know more about it. Let me check the chat to make sure. And it looks like Joy wants to know more about the healing circle that you were talking about earlier. We want to revisit.
Yes, the Healing Circle is brand new. Most NAMI programs are signature programs targeted for individuals and families living with a mental health condition. So you know it's you and you want help, you know, achieving recovery or using best practices, right? In a very peer way. It's family to family, individual to individual. Healing Circles is a whole new animal. It launches next month, August 2020. If you live in a community where you think you want us to come and convene a healing circle, then you just email us and we'll be there. But there to host a circle of people, 8 to 15 people. We want to do it in person in an outdoor arena, 6 feet apart, mask, you know, temperature taken. But if the numbers keep going up, it has to all happen on Zoom. We recognize that. But it's to let people talk about, air out what they want to talk about, how they're doing during COVID, how they're managing things right now. And we are going to have note takers just like Lauren and Nadia. And we're going to sit there and try to help people connect to the resources and the other organizations they may need to link with in order to get help. That's all, because we recognize that what's going to continue to lead to emotional unwellness is if people don't have a place to put it. 6,000 plus people showed up in front of the mayor's building downtown after the George Floyd murder. Did you see that? All those people were there. They were there because they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Where did that tension go? Where did that unrest go? They took it right back home. And you know, you see the news and the stories, it's not over. All right, that conversation's still going forward. So we find that the healing circles, we can address any issue, you know, and as a listener, as a keeper of the space, and then help our own. How does I don't know if you know Deloitte Parker from Shape Community Center, but he says every community has within itself what it needs to heal itself.
That's rich.
And so we want to go into those communities and help facilitate those conversations and help the communities just find what resources they already have to heal themselves.
Are you guys open to doing some collaboration and partnerships with the Healing Circle? Because I already have a couple of ideas.
It's required. We're looking for convening partners, and we're also convening partners are people like anyone on this Facebook Live that says, hey, I have a community of people and they need to be heard. That's a convening partner. And so we're looking for those. And then moderators. We are using a multidisciplinary approach of moderators. So that means if you're a clinician, if you're a school teacher, if you're a family member, if you're the owner of a NapBar, if you're, you know, whatever you are, if you want to come and be a moderator. So we're going to have 3 weeks of building a learning community just among the moderators. And that's starting like next week. But it's never too late. If you're interested, just let us know. And then we'll launch the healing circles. And so it's a very slow moving micro approach, because we're not, you know, it's not going to be 100 people on Zoom. But, you know, what's that story of the fish, of the little starfish?
Oh, yeah.
For the people that we help, It's going to make all the difference in the world.
Well, I think what's special about it is because some of those people in those areas that need it the most might not have access to Zoom. So we have to be in their communities face to face, socially distanced, and all those things. Ladies, seriously, thank you so much. There's a call to action here. So as you just heard Angelina say, if you would like to be a part, if you want to be a part and an advocate for NAMI, please, if you guys can give them your email addresses or your website or just the best way to get in contact with you. If you have already registered via Eventbrite, you'll get this information. I'll send it out as a recap. So for those of you who are streaming on Facebook, if you want to be a part of this conversation further down the road, please go to the website. That's www.napbar now.com. Click the link that says subscribe so you can join our mailing list and you can be privy to all the information that we'll share. But if you guys can share with them and let them know where they can get connected to you, especially around this healing circle. I think there might be some people. I've already received some text messages already that they want to be a part of this. And I would like to, if you guys can hang on at the end when we close this out, if you can stay on, I want to kind of chat about the idea I just had.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Be the change you want to see.
Be the change. So I put our email addresses and the website in the chat box. So our website is www.NAMI, which is NAMI, greaterhouston.org. Actually, I might have put .com, but it's .org. And also our email addresses. I'm J McDaniel, and she's AB Hudson at NAMIGreaterHouston.org. So anytime you guys have a question, a concern, want to chat, an idea, a partnership, we're definitely down. We're completely in. We also have a couple of events going on related to the Healing Circle. We've had our weekly diaspora dialogues. Am I saying that word right? Is it diaspora or diaspora?
I've heard diaspora both ways.
But they're diaspora dialogues for mental health and equity every Thursday at 6:30 on our Facebook Live. And it's actually very similar to this. You can come in through Zoom and participate, or you can just stream and view it through our Facebook Live. You can ask questions. Every week there are therapists. So these are licensed professional therapists answering questions specifically related to communities of color. And sometimes it gets pretty deep, and they're able to answer all kinds of questions that neither Angelina and I could even touch in a real way. So it totally amplifies what NAMI does every day, which is try to help people living with mental illness and their loved ones through a professional capacity directed at communities of color. So we've got that every Thursday, 6:30 on our Facebook Live, which is at NAMI Greater Houston. And also Angelina is actually going to be on Amazing 102.5 as soon as she gets off with Khaliah.
Yes.
So it's Amazing 102.5 FM Chit Chat with Amanda Sapp. So she's going to be kind of continuing some of the conversations that we're having here. And I think that's kind of the most of what we have going on right now. But we're always moving, we're always shaking. And like I said, specifically right now with the COVID situation and the disparity of how it affects our communities, with all of the social unrest around racism, we're really trying to dig deeper into communities of color. So we are down for the partnership. We want to talk to you. We want to see you. We have support groups that are bi-weekly. We have educational classes. All of that information is on our website, and we are open for you to collaborate with us.
Listen, you guys let me give you your roses now before we skedaddle. So your sister, in being an extrovert, Joy, said the pandemic is not on an introvert's terms. So y'all, it's not on y'all's terms. Eden White said needed conversations. Thank you, ladies, so much. Yolanda, thank you for educating the public and doing all that you do. Let's see. Teresa Caldwell said, great conversations. And then my best friend, Missy, said, love this, great information. This was another epic conversation. Thank you guys so much. Please make sure that you are following NAMI. There's some great things that are coming down the pipe. Make sure you're getting involved. One thing that they didn't say that I will say is that it is a nonprofit. So if you were looking to show your support, perhaps in a monetary way, go to their website, click on that donation button, and make sure you pour into them in rich in spirit and also in coins and dollars. So thank you
Like that.
Thank you again for joining Wellness Wednesday. We appreciate this love. We appreciate the support. We are also opening up for sponsorship. So if you are a small business owner and you would like to sponsor a conversation, feel free to email me directly at napmgr@napbarnow.com and just put in the subject line Wellness Wednesday sponsorship. All right, folks, go out there and knock if you buck for minority mental health. Hey. We love you guys. Be easy. Hey, Jessica and Angelina, if y'all could just borrow you guys, you can stay on for like a couple of seconds. I'll stop the live.
Okay. Sure can.
You know, knock if you buck.
Like,
Is that cute?
Olivia.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, Olivia knows. Hi, Olivia.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have someone still on the line. Hey. Oh, we can. Did you have a question for us?
No, hi.
Hi. Did you just
Hi.
join us for Wellness
I
Wednesday?
did.
Oh, it just ended. We're at 12 Central Time.
Oh, I thought it was. Oh, okay.
Where are you located?
I'm located in California.
Yeah, we're 2 hours behind or ahead of you.
Okay.
But here's the good news. If you go on Facebook and go to NapBar HOU.
Amanda gonna get me, y'all.
Oh, okay. Well, you drop off, Angelina. I'll chat with actually Angelina, do me. Okay, I'm sorry, ma'am. Can you pause just for 1 second? Angelina, can you text me your mailing address?
Yeah, this is Angelina. Okay, I will do that.
Angelina, I'm coming right after this song. Hold for me, okay?
Okay.
Tell Amanda I said, hey, thank you so much. Okay, ma'am, I'm sorry. My Cali friend, come back. Cali.
Yes, it's all good. Yes.
Okay, so if you go on Facebook to NapBar HOU, you can catch the replay right now.
Okay. Okay.
And then register for next week, because next week we're having another deep conversation, and I think you will want to be a part of that one. It's 12 Central Time. You can go ahead and grab your right now.
Okay. Will do. Perfect.
Thank you so
So
much
go
for
to-
joining.
Thank you. So go to Facebook. Okay. And then go to Napa.
Yep, and if
Okay.
you register, we'll also be sending out the recap here in a couple of hours
Okay. Perfect.
with that link.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.
That was so good.
Is it still on? It still says live on Facebook. You sure it's off?